The following video may contain spoilers. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Power Vacuum. I'm your host Belmont, and today I'm going to be talking about the new game Nobody Wants to Die from the new game studio Critical Hit Games. They are operating under the Plaion banner, and they are a new studio run by several AAA veterans that wanted to branch off and do a new thing, and Nobody Wants to Die is their debut game. It is a detective game. It is a neo-noir, I believe is the correct title, and I would call it one part Batman detective mode, one part LA Noire, one part Altered Carbon, and one part Fifth Element. If you took a little bit of all those and sprinkled them together, you'd get this game. And I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Starting with the good. And the good is the graphics. The graphics are actually very nice. I didn't have any major issues. I didn't see any clipping, any pop-in, any game-altering bugs. I didn't really get stuck on the environment at all in any way, which is kind of rare, especially for a debut game like this, to be as smooth as it was. So it was a very pleasant change for a new studio to make a game that effectively smooth and graphically pleasing. The other thing that's really good about this game is the in-universe, the lore, the story. The story's good. Nothing great. It's, another detective story, but the actual world that they built is really fun, really inventive. They have this new thing. It's kind of a new take on immortality. It's similar to Altered Carbon in the way that you transfer your consciousness from one body to another, except where Altered Carbon, the bodies are like artificial cyborg bodies, where this, it's like you actually take over another human body. And they do it by putting this stuff they call Icarite into your brain, which records your memories and maps your brain out. And they let you, basically, when they pull that out, it pulls your consciousness out. And they can save that on it's like a goop almost. It's depicted as like tendrils, like liquid tendrils. And they can store it, and they can put you on ice. Or they could put you in the void. I don't remember what they call it. I just beat this game 3 times in a row, and that was my weekend, by the way. I spent my weekend beating this game 3 times. I was trying to unlock as many endings as I could. I now know that it has 4. I was only able to achieve basically the good ending and the bad ending. I got the bad ending twice and the good ending once, and I was like, I'm not ready to run through this game a couple more times for these endings. And I'm playing on console, so I don't really have command save, or I can't mirror my save file and just reload the end to do the things. So yeah, I gotta basically rough it out. But it held my interest 3 times in a row. I kind of speed ran at the last playthrough as quickly as I could. I skipped most of the dialogue because there's not a lot that changes. The options are pretty straightforward every time. But yeah, the world's really nice. The graphics are really nice. The story is pretty good. The basic story is your typical detective sent on a simple case, and it becomes more increasingly complex. It's a murder mystery and a self-discovery mystery kind of thing. This is where the spoilers are going to come in. Effectively, your character is sent on a let's see how well you do coming back mission after his last case ended up in a massive train wreck, killing lots of people, including your partner and yourself. Like, you're in a new body now. And they're like, yeah, we don't think you're ready, so we're going to unofficially throw you on this one case. It's super simple. Just go grab this guy's memories and bring him back. But when you get there, his memories are torched, so he's like suffered real death. And he's like the person who invented the system that is currently in place, because the world is super dystopian. Like, yes, humans have figured out immortality, but effectively, until you turn 21, up until the age of 21, you don't have to have your brain mapped. But once you turn 21, they have to map your brain, and there's a fee for that. And if you can't afford the fee, they yank your memories out of your brain, throw you on ice, and they auction your body off. So super dystopian there. Basically, the slums and the poor people are just kind of like shells for rich people to buy and stay young forever, while they get thrown on ice and are pretty much in like memory jail until they're needed for their skills or somebody buys them out. And then, like, the big controversy in the game is that the dude that you go to find that got murdered is passing a law to try to get it lower. Got it lowered to 20 and wants to get it lowered to 19, effectively like screwing over everyone that's poor, because nobody at 19 can afford to save their own body from this process. So it's not like, oh, he's a good guy. No, he's not. This is one of those stories where it's like, who are the good guys? Are you a good guy? You make that decision whether or not you're a good guy or not. But the world's really interesting. It's really intriguing. It's really new and unique, and like I said, it's a little bit Altered Carbon-y in the way that you transfer your memories, but it's more dystopian than that, because they're jacking bodies to where Altered Carbon is everybody gets a stack if they want one, and you have the option to not. So this isn't an option. If you live in what is the current day United States, you got to do this stuff. And yeah, that's the good of the game. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to what I consider the bad. And the bad parts of the game, it's short. It's like, if you do everything, and I mean like you turn over every stone, you walk in every corner, you scan everything you can with your tools and devices, 6.5 hours at most. Like, I think my first playthrough, I tried to do everything, and I beat it in about a little less than 6 hours. My second playthrough, I beat it in about 5. And then my last one, when I was just trying to run through it, I beat it in about 3 hours. And it only took me 3 hours. Well, it took me 3 hours because it makes you watch certain scenes. Like, you can't skip certain dialogue. There's probably about 45 minutes of unskippable cutscene and dialogue sections in this game. On console, at least. I'm sure there's like some, commands you can do on PC to skip all that. But, we'll find that out when the any % speedrunners get done with this. How fast they can do everything. But yeah, so it's short. That's one of the bad aspects. Another of the bad aspects are some of the cues in the game. And this isn't really a graphics issue or like a clipping, but they just it's more like a placement in the world for the characters are like just a little off, to the point where it messes up your immersion a bit. Like, your character has an earpiece that he has to like do like the Secret Service thing where like they have to talk into it, but he holds it like this in front of it. You can see his whole hand, so it's like he's holding it in front of his face like this, and I'm like, that's kind of annoying. Why am I, like, if anything, I should just see like these fingers here, right? Or like the palm of the hand, maybe part of the wrist. But no, he's just like, yeah, he's like talking into his palm. He's like talking into his thumb or something. I don't know. And anytime he lights a cigarette, like the cigarette will be like right here and the flame will be like right here. And I'm just like, okay, it's annoying because he smokes a lot of cigarettes in the game. Same when he drinks out of a flask. Your guy's an alcoholic, by the way. Of course he's an alcoholic. He crashed a train into a freaking building. Who wouldn't be an alcoholic after that? But he drinks from his flask, and like they show the flask like all the way out here in his hand. Like he would be dumping it onto the ground if he were actually doing that. But you hear him making like the drinking sounds. And then like there's this pill bottle you have to take a lot that they call it ambrosia. It has to do with like synchronization in your bodies. And he takes the pill a lot, but it's just like a static image of a pill bottle. So like the pills don't move or shift. They're just like it's pasted into the bottom of the bottle. And it's like, oh, this is some small immersion breaking things for a game that's actually very immersive. And, you know, I understand, like, you're not going to show pills jostling around, but if that's the case, make the pill bottle to where I can't see the pills inside of it. I just hear them. And it's weird because there's a couple of cigarette scenes where it's spot on where he lights it. They put a lot of focus on him smoking the cigarette, but it never, like, shortens or burns down as he's smoking it. He's just smoking, like, this eternal cigarette, which would be great for smokers. You know, you just got a cigarette you can smoke forever and it never gets shorter, never burns down. But it's a lot of little things that they put detail into but failed to go all the way, or they didn't have the time or the budget, or I don't know. It's small immersion breaking, but it's a lot of little things in a row that gives me pause when I play the game, because most of the rest of the game is very, very immersive. There's some... Well, no. I think that's about... well, I guess the other bad thing would be the reliance on the detective tools. Like, every case requires you to use all the tools. And what one of the tools is when you're solving the cases, you have to put the clues together. It seems like there's a fixed pattern of clues. You can't really make mistakes and guess the wrong clue in this game. It's not like in Sherlock. If you've played any of the Sherlock games, you can absolutely come to the wrong conclusion and botch a case. This doesn't happen in this game. Like you have to solve the case with the clues a certain way. If you put them in the wrong way, it puts like a big red X over the clue, and it tells you like, hey, this is wrong. So it's like you're not really solving anything. It's like leading you into it. And I thought that was one of the bad aspects, where I was just like, okay, you give me this detective game, but it's not a detective game. It's more of like a Telltale game hyped up to the max, where you know it's not actually a game. It's more of a visual novella, like a choose your adventure experience, but you don't really choose. It's the illusion. It's like a BioShock kind of thing, where the illusion of choice. You think you're making decisions, but you're not, because it railroads you into them. It's a very linear game. It's not open world at all, which I don't think they advertise it as, so I'm not even worried about that. But it is so linear to the point where it's just like you're on train tracks, basically. Like, this is your path. Here are your clues. You can't screw this up. Like, you cannot screw this up. We won't let you. So that was the bad part of it. Not a lot bad there. But now I'm going to get down to the ugly. And this game holds your hand the entire way. I mean, the whole time. It was kind of obnoxious. And what I mean by that is it never lets you solve anything in the field. When you're in the field, you have to do all these things. You have I don't even know what the device is called. It like the reconstructor, I'm going to call it. I don't know if they give it a name or not. It lets you rewind time and like look at what happened to the crime to solve them piece by piece. Like you have to rewind it, analyze the clues in the area, rewind it a little more, analyze the clues in the area. You have an X-ray thing that lets you like see through certain objects and at a certain time, and then you have a UV light that highlights, blood or explosive matter or powders, things like that you would use a UV light for. And it's just every time your character would need to use it, either the person on your intercom says you need to use it or your character says out loud, time to bust out the UV light, time to bust out the X-ray thing. Oh, let me reconstruct this scene. They don't give you any opportunity to solve the puzzle yourself, which, given that this game is so linear and so one directional, like unidirectional, one path, after the first, case, it's all one case. After the first segment where they show you all the tools you have and they teach you how to use them all, I don't think it should do that ever again. You should have to like go through your tools yourself and try to figure out what do I need to do. Like, let me use the reconstructor on this scene. Let me try to see if there's something I can X-ray here or some UV light I can use here. It's just every single time, bro, got to use my UV light. Got to use my UV light. Got to use my X-ray machine. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not doing anything here. Like, the game's playing itself at this point. It's like guiding me through the game. It's the game for people that like games but don't want to actually play them. And near the end, I was just like, oh, okay. I'm invested in the story. Let me go ahead and get through this. But this, like, holding my hand the entire way through the entire game, all the way up until the end. Even at the end, they're doing this crap. I'm like, oh, geez, okay. That's, I don't know. It really was the part of the game. That's why it's in the ugly section. It destroyed part of the game for me. It knocked it down several pegs. And then the other part of the other ugly thing in this is some of the voice actors in this are not seasoned, or they're not prepared for the kind of role they have, especially the main character. James Kara. I don't know how to pronounce his last name because they literally pronounce it both ways in the game. Sometimes they call him Kara, sometimes they call him Kara, and it's like, well, what is it? You don't even know? Like, you made the game, you don't even know what his last name is? And I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like a little foible of humans pronouncing each other's names wrong, but when you're making a game, it should be consistent, especially when it's like a new world, a new character. But the voice actor for the main character, you could tell he's not used to doing voices because he was trying to do like the hard-boiled detective voice, which he can kind of nail down when he's talking regularly. But anytime he had to like raise his voice or display emotion, he couldn't maintain the same voice, and it basically sounds like there's three different voice actors doing the one character as you're playing through the game. Like, when he's being emotional, he sounds like a different character than he does when he's just reading regular lines as the regular character. And when he's screaming, because he does a lot of like yelling at people in this game, he sounds like a third different character. Like, it's literally like three different voices. And for a moment, I was like, is he supposed to be schizophrenic? Is this something they're trying to say on? Spoiler alert, yes, he is schizophrenic. In a way, in this universe, if you live over like 200 years or something and you transfer several bodies, you start hearing something that you call the stranger. It happens to apparently like everyone. And he just eggs you on to violent tendencies or something like that. It's one of the main things. So, you've been warned about that. I won't tell you much more than that. Just know that, yeah, that's a thing that happens in the game. But like, I don't think it was intentional for the voice actor. I just think he wasn't prepared for that kind of role. He wasn't seasoned or trained. I don't even know who the voice actor is. I didn't bother looking it up because I'm just going to leave his name out of it. I was just like, you really can't nail down the talking voice and the yelling voice. And I guess it's because you're trying to do like that 1940s, 1950s, private eye detective voice that they all seem to do in the movies back then. And the reason they talk like that back then was because of the quality of the microphones. They had to speak in certain ways for the microphone to pick up their voice clearly. So it affected this accent, which is something he's trying to emulate. And I get it. I appreciate it. But it's pretty ugly at times when you're like, oh, this guy just pulled a freaking 180 on how he sounds. It sounds like a totally different character now. And those are the two uglies things I'd say. Yeah, like the voice acting in some areas, and that just constantly treating me like I don't know how to play a video game. And I'd say overall it's a very middle of the road game. It's not bad. It's not great. I'd probably give it a 5, maybe a 6 on a good day. I'll bump it up to a 6 for the story. Well, we'll do 5.5. Right? It's not the most mediocre game ever. It's a little better than pure middling, but it is not bad for their first outing. As a debut game, I think they did a bang up job, especially like building a world, building a story, getting the graphics to actually function properly and not have like ridiculous issues. I haven't heard any stories of like, I haven't heard any Cyberpunk 2077 stories. I haven't heard any like Watch Dogs stories. It seems like they got most of what they were doing down right, but it's you can't make a game that's like, oh, I'm going to play the game for you, because it's barely a game at that point. And I get it. The company said that they aim to make immersive, narrative-driven stories, which, yes, this is an immersive, narrative-driven story, but I want it to be more like Sherlock and less like Telltale games. And if I could give them that moving forward, I would say, yeah, don't hold my hand the whole way. Had they just gone through and been like, okay, from every section of the case past the first section, you got to actually pull your tools out yourself and figure the shit out. Or you're just going to be running around in circles until you do. And then like maybe there'd be a hint button, because there's a hint button, but the hint button pops up the second you walk in. It's like you walk into a room and it's like, do you need a hint? It's like, I've been in the room 10 seconds. I haven't even gotten to walk once all the way around the room. No, I don't need a hint. And why would I need a hint? There's a damn glowing thing on the floor that you want me to go walk over to. Clearly that's the thing you need me to look at. Why would I need a hint for that? And there we go. Like I said, 5.5. That's my take. A little golf clap for you. Critical Hit Games. You did a good job. Not great, but you're not bad. I mean, I've played a lot of bad games lately, especially new ones, and this one did you did a good job with the story. You did a good job with the world. I do enjoy the very dystopian world of human immortality. Just, vet your voice actors or give them time to nail the voice better. Don't rush them. And quit holding our hands, If people can get out there and play FromSoft games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, which tells you nothing when it comes to the world, then people will figure it out. We'll get your detective game down. But I hope your next game is as beautiful and immersive as this one. And that's all I've got for today. Belmont out.